In today's video, we're doing something different given a special request from a viewer. So I'll be discussing my facial features after having lost 70 pounds and how that changed my face and my personality to a degree. Enjoy. Hey everybody, so today I'm going to be reading myself, and I'm going to say this right up front. It's incredibly weird to read myself. And I'm doing this because shout out to one of my subscribers or viewers. Her name is Ayla Hilal. I hope I'm saying your name correctly. If I'm not, please correct me. But she had sent me a message on my website saying, I can't help but notice that your face has changed quite a bit in the last few years. And I was wondering if you could make a video on the transformation of a face, what that's looked like for you in your life. And I also had another subscriber a couple of years back ask me the same thing when my YouTube channel was pretty dormant during the lockdowns and I was sort of in a contracted phase and didn't want to be on camera or talk to anybody. So that being said, I'm going to read my face. I'm going to talk about the elemental shifts in my face. I will talk about my facial features. I'll try to link up some of the things in my life that are congruent with face reading theory and what's been true for me so far. So first and foremost, yes, some years back, I was sizably heavy. I was way more heavy than I am now. So for reference, currently right now, I'm 6'2", 215 pounds. Back, 2020, 2019, around that time, I was 6'2", about 270 pounds. Now, I did a metabolic reset, a CBD-centric metabolic reset. That was the first thing in about 8 to 10 years that really got my body to shift. And it happened quickly. And that was the cogwheel that really that was the missing link. That was the linchpin that I pulled and the whole house of cards fell. Everything just came together and, all of the struggle just disappeared pretty fast. So when I came out of that metabolic reset, I dropped down to 195 pounds. That is the lightest I've ever been in my life, including college. And so when I was playing rugby in college, I was about 6'2", 225. And in the last year and a half, 2 years, I've put on 15 to 20 pounds of lean muscle mass, which is why I weigh now 215 pounds. My goal is to kind of recomposition and get back to my rugby weight. 225 would be great, but pretty lean. So those are my fitness goals. That's what I'm working on. The point is, okay, when I was much heavier set, I had a lot more earth. And this is the thing we want to think about with the earth element. Anytime we have extra earth, extra body fat, that means a surplus or an excess of the earth element. So that being said, this brings us to the idea of the classical image of the elements, which I've shown before, but we're going to talk about here again. Classically, this earth is at the center of the 5-element wheel. Okay, it's not just a circle of elements. The central cogwheel is earth, and the other 4 elements flank that central element. And so what that means is, because the earth element relates to fleshiness, it relates to the 4 limbs, it relates to the tissue of the body, the skin, it relates to the flesh, basically. So what that means is when you lose, right, that central cogwheel, when you diminish it and you shrink it and you lose some earth, that means all the other 4 elements, their relationship to that central element is going to shift, which means all of your other elements are going to get a tune-up. They're going to change. They're going to shift. They're going to reallocate their resources into different areas. Things are going to move around quite a bit. And this definitely happened with me. So if you look back at these pictures where I was heavier set, I was very earth dominant and I had a lot of water, right? So I still have big water features, big nostrils, big eyes, big ears, pretty good sized mouth, but I had a lot of earth. So that's how my face read. And I will say that how our face presents to the world is going to read us that way to a certain degree. So people did see me, if we think about the earth themes, right? Compassionate, of house and home, food, sweetness, tenderness. When I was heavier set, there was definitely more of a cuddly teddy bear kind of vibe. My wife used to actually kind of like it. She was like, I like you squishy. I didn't love being squishy, but there's that vibe for sure. And you're less threatening to a certain degree when you have that insulating layer around your body. And that was definitely true. It's not that people didn't take me seriously, but I was less threatening. And I don't think I'm a threatening person now. And I don't aim to be, I don't intend to be. But, in terms of my physicality, I'm more formidable now, at least from the outside world. And I am taken a bit more seriously in the health and lifestyle sphere now. Simple truth. When you're living healthier and you are leaner and you are in physically better shape, that's a currency. It just is. It's the way it goes in life. So that's been true. People have listened to me more and taken me more seriously. And I found that I'm less conscious on camera, and I'm more comfortable in my body, so I move better. So a lot of these things shift. And when those emotional rhythms start to shift, the spirit shifts, and then the face shifts, the elemental shifts. So you can see through these pictures when I was heavier, and then when I started to lean out, the Shen and the countenance in my face, I think, was a bit more relaxed. There was something a little more settled and stoic about it, and less, and I think as I've gotten leaner too, I've gotten used to sort of like an internal smile a little bit too. And it's not like me hiding my face, I like to smile, but I was a lot more like trying to squeeze out the smile of my face when I was heavier set. And now I kind of let it come out a bit more naturally. It feels less forced. That's my internal experience of it. So in any case, the whole piece of this is that my elements did shift. My wood, which was always present, okay, I have pretty thick eyebrows, but I didn't have much of a jaw. And when the face starts to lean out and we lose that earth, anytime we lose body fat and we lean out like that and muscle definition starts to come up, that is a relationship between earth and wood. Those two things are reallocating and shifting and moving. So when my wood came to the forefront, I got leaner. And with that, the tissues kind of tighten up a little bit, and I started to see other things come out. I forgot I had dimples on both sides. This is an attention marker. And while I definitely do not see myself as a person like, give me attention, look at me, love me, praise me. Like, I'm not like that. But I also am very aware that I have a YouTube channel. I'm putting myself on camera weekly. I educate in front of crowds. I do seminars. I'm putting myself in a position to be seen in the public sphere in some capacity. So this is one of those attention markers, which, follows suit in my life. I'm definitely putting myself into a position to get attention in some capacity. So I think a lot of educators carry this. I happen to be an Eastern health and lifestyle educator. So there's that component. And also, with the leaning out of my body, as soon as that inflammation was gone, I really jumped back into my strength training because I was seeing results. My body was listening to that marker. So you can see in this photo here, the one on the left, I was about 270 pounds, give or take. On the right, that was after my metabolic reset. I was about 205. I had put on about 10 pounds of lean muscle mass. I'm about 10 pounds heavier than that now with my lean muscle mass. So I'm a little bit bulkier, not much. But you can see that's the wood element coming to the surface. And I saw my wood more. And when the facial features changed, my wood energy did shift quite a bit. So sex drive went up. Okay, when your body gets healthier, you're going to have more vitality. So that definitely happened. My drive, my vigor, my push for my business, right? The energy of the wood element drives, pushes, and makes things move forward. That all started to shift when I lost all of that weight. And so when you look at my face, these strong wood features, and when they came to the surface more, I am very much a boundary person. I have no issue getting into confrontation with people. I don't love it, but I'm pretty good at it. If it needs to be happened, even with a stranger, if someone's yelling at the clerk, I'm the guy who'll be like, whoa, chill. I'm the guy that will step in. I don't mind getting into that kind of stuff. And, Lillian used to tell me, she says, you need lots of little tiny small confrontations, because if you don't engage those, you're going to have real big confrontations, maybe even physical ones. And that's not great for you. And I do have a background in martial arts. My dad was a very gifted martial artist in Shotokan and Judo. I have some natural aptitude in that area. I've trained martial arts most of my life. And I also think martial arts breeds in a lot of wood energy already. A lot of martial artists have strong livers, myself included. And so that energy is definitely very present in my life. The fact that I have some strong wood features, I gravitate towards the martial arts. I like the combat arts. I don't, love fighting. I don't like confrontation, but I'm kind of built for it to a degree. And I don't have any issue with people. If, I always say I don't hang out with assholes, and I'm very, very selective with who I surround myself with. And that's wood energy. That's that boundary. And, I don't want to say like, oh, I don't take any shit from anybody. Like, we all take some shit sometimes, but I really don't for the most part. And I do my best not to. If someone is not liking me, is disrespecting me, I don't have any issue just saying, yeah, cool. It's been a fun ride, but next. And so that's where my wood energy kind of shines. Now, When I look at my face, one of the dominant features, since I'm not going to read the entirety of my face, is my nose. So my nose, Lillian used to talk about quite a bit. When I saw Lillian and I was really diving in with her, she's like, man, you got a beautiful nose, and it was really nice to hear. I always thought my nose was kind of big and pointy, but she said, no, that is a great nose. That she loved my nose. It was always really nice to hear. And she said, but your nose is your 40s. And she says, so what I've struggled with, one of my struggles that I've really had a tough time with is like finding out where I fit in my life path. There's a saying about artists, which I am, a creative type. When you're inspired by everything, it's hard to finish anything. I thought, oh my God, that's my life in a fucking nutshell. Like, that is me. And so, that was a hard thing for me. And it always has been a hard thing for me. I'm a late bloomer, which you can see in my ears. My ears are low set. The higher set the ears, they say the sooner you come into your success, quote unquote, in life, financial and otherwise, my ears sit low. I've always been a late bloomer. I'm slow to develop. And so when I talked to Lillian, I was like, one of the problems I have is I just feel kind of like a screw up. Like, what am I doing with my career, my life? Like, it's very hard for me to focus. And I have a big, broad forehead, which is indicative of the 20s. And with that big, broad forehead, sometimes what that looks like is that free, rangy, disconnected feet from the ground energy of just floating in the ethereal realm. That's what was happening in my 20s too. I lost my dad at 19 in a car accident. And when that happened, there was kind of I don't know what you want to call it, a spiritual opening of sorts where I read a lot of metaphysics and I read a lot of things. And I think part of it was me trying to kind of find him. I was trying to search for him in a sense. But my head was kind of in the clouds, and I was just very like floaty about everything. And then my 30s, characterized from the eyebrows to the bottom of the eyes, I have big eyes. It's a water feature. Sometimes with big eyes, what they say is you're wading in open waters, like treading water. That was my 30s, absolutely. So my 20s and 30s in terms of finding out how to direct my life current was pretty tricky. And so I was telling Lillian to this, and when she looked at my nose, she says, don't worry. With that nose, that is a strong 40s nose. Your nose is your 40s. And she says, your 40s are going to kick ass. They will be stellar. And you know what? Lillian was right. And it kind of breaks my heart because I would have, Lillian has been right. She was right about a lot of things over the years. And this is another one. And I just would love to share it with her. She's gone. But she was right. Absolutely right. My metabolic reset. So not only did my physical health at 40 like just miraculously shift gears, that happened. And then with that physical health shift came my Qigong and Tai Chi part of my education, really getting more mainstream into my community. My friend life, my social life, my family life with my wife and daughter. Everything just started to come down the pike easier. I'm also filming my first face reading course here this month or next month with Naba Studios. And it's going to be on face reading. It's 4 modules. It'll probably be 90 minutes to 2 hours. It's going to be very professionally done. It's going to look really good. So these things are just starting to come down the pike in my 40s without not a lot of effort. Like, I'm not doing a ton of things different, but my physical health shifted. My business started to shift. And so there's some congruency there. That's where I've seen it. And is it a self-fulfilling prophecy? I don't know. Maybe a little, who knows? But I resisted it. I was like, that's not going to happen. My 40s are probably going to be just as rough as my 20s and 30s. But so far it has been correct. Now, outside of that, looking at my public persona, my natural face, my inner persona. So this is pretty interesting. Weird. This whole process continues to be weird, by the way. But when you look at my public persona, I have wider set eyes. So when we see the wider set eyes means the middle eye is also a bit more open. So what Lillian used to always say to me, and I think is pretty true, she says, you have a lot of analytical capacity and computing power, but you're also highly intuitive. And she's saying that's a beautiful mix. And you can see this in my public persona. So those wide set eyes means the middle eye is a bit more open, but I also have kind of a narrower jaw, which means that's the wood feature, the wood side, right? The pushiness, that the drive, it's a little softer. And so I'd say my public persona is very much indicative of how I teach. I have a very open, expansive approach to Eastern health and wellness, and I'm not super pushy about it. What I tell people is there's a lot of different ways to get to the top of the mountain, and most of them are not wrong. How you do it and how I do it are going to be different, but most of them are not wrong. whether you're carnivore, you're vegan, or you're, whatever, however you exercise. Maybe you're a deadlifter, maybe you're a sprinter. I don't know. But there's lots of different ways to live life. And so my public persona, I think, matches that. But if you look at my inner persona, my jaw and my face is a bit fleshier, a bit meatier, and my eyes are closer set, which means that that's where that analytical component, computing piece comes in. And so, by default, I would say one of the things I've had to work on is being overly critical of things. My capacity to see into and see through things. And, I've got a pretty good bullshit detector. So that close set eyes is where you'll see that. But I'm also, when you get to know me, like I said, that martial background, like I'm very friendly in real life. If a viewer, any of you ever saw me in real life, I would laugh, talk shop with you, probably buy you a beer if we were at a bar and be like, yeah, like, what's up? I'm very nice. But my inner persona too, when you get into like the nitty gritty down in, you start pushing into me, I've got some pretty firm edges, like I said, about my boundaries, about, what happens in the world. Like I've got my strong wood energy there, but those close set eyes are kind of like, I'm computing you, and I don't mean to do that, but as a face reader, I would be lying if I said when I'm going to like the supermarket and I'm like, oh yeah, got a mark there on the river of life. Yeah, I'm definitely assessing like, oh cool, wow, that's interesting. I don't mean to do it, but those close set eyes, when we see that in people, they're computing, they're focusing in and honing in on things. So that's definitely true for me. So again, this is very strange reading myself. There's a lot more I could say about myself, but to make it not excessively weird for myself or for you, I'm gonna, I think, call it here and say that's probably good for now. But if you have questions about me or my face or my process, feel free to put them in the comments. I'm happy to answer them. But I think because you all have watched me probably at least for a period of time, you kind of have a feel and flow for how I operate on screen, and hopefully some of this discourse about my face, my transformation, how things have moved, maybe will give you some insight to yourself, your process, and your life. So thanks for everything. If there's someone else you would like me to read, please let me know. And I am not going to do my lifestyle guidance for myself because the things I'm doing, I'm doing well. And I feel good about what I'm doing. But again, those are questions that we can talk about later. If any of you want to go back though, if you want to find me on Instagram, okay, it's the same handle I have on YouTube, grayson.c.estrada. If you go back, you can see how much heavier set I was in these photos a while back. And my Instagram page is not a face reading page. It's about Eastern health and lifestyle adaptation, fasting, strength training, all kinds of other stuff. So it doesn't relate to face reading, but that's just another visual marker. If you want to go back and look at my face, look at my shin, you can see some of the photos there to kind of get an assessment. So again, thanks for your time. Take care.